What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Planet Rell, and today we have episode 3 of Immortal Thor. And Thor has been taken prisoner, and he also gets a new hammer. If this is your first time here, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get into the story. So we start here with Thor sleep. Like, this man is slumped, and he's in an all sleep. And I don't know how long he's been asleep, but he's been having a dark dream. And during his dream, he is falling through a never-ending darkness. And as he's falling, he hears the mocking laugh of Loki, who is now again his enemy. And now Thor wakes up yelling Loki's name, and he now has a full beard. He's been asleep for a very long time. Then he looks around and sees that he's in some type of wilderness, and it looks like an alien planet. And I was thinking in my head, like, how did Thor get here? Then he feels his face and he sees he got a beard. And he like, bro, I got a beard just like my dad right now. And after realizing he has a full beard, he wonders how long he has been asleep. And now we find out that he got to this place by Loki's magic. And Loki really did a favor for Thor. And I say that because nobody was able to harm Thor while he was in the all sleep. So Thor was able to regain his full strength. But now Thor wants to leave because he thinks of Tornos causing chaos and destruction at other places. And as he spins Mjolnir to open a doorway, somebody asks, "Where do you think you're going?" And Thor sees that it's Loki. Then he tells Loki that he has no time or patience for games. But Loki responds to him and tells him that it's not a game, but it does have rules, and even Mjolnir cannot break them. And I wonder what rules Loki has in place that even Mjolnir can't even break them. And Loki tells Thor that their magic has bound Thor to this place and to the rune Rado. And this rune was originally the rune of journeys, but Loki changed it, reversed it actually. And the rune of journeys has been changed into the rune of crisis. And the rune of crisis disrupts plans and gives unwanted journeys. And Thor knows that Loki is telling the truth because he spins Mjolnir to open dimensional doors, but they won't open. And Thor has a feeling that it can block the all power too. And that would make me so mad if I was Thor and I can't even use my own power. But Thor doesn't even want to use the all power because that would make him vulnerable. And I know he don't want to go back into the all sleep because he just woke up. Then Thor tells Loki that it's a good riddle that they have, but it's the wrong time to play trickster. And now Thor takes off, but he doesn't even know where he's going. But he knows he just wants to leave. But Loki says, if you're gonna leave, you better have packed a lunch. And Thor realizes that Loki was telling the truth. Loki said that he was stuck there. And now Thor realizes for himself that he is stuck there. And lately Thor has been having a lot of questions to himself. And he wonders now, is he even in his own reality? And he knows that Tornos cannot possibly find him there. But he wonders what Tornos is doing. Is he causing chaos to his allies or just random people? What is he doing? And Thor comes back down to land and he says, Loki, as your king, I demand. But Loki cuts him off and says, as your fool, I deny. Man, I would have started swinging on Loki on some.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga! Fight back! Fight back!
But Loki tells Thor to solve the riddle or die where they are. Then Loki tells Thor to use what's in his helmet because it'll help him. And I'm just thinking like, okay, use your brain, be smart, figure it out. Because apparently you gotta solve the riddle to get out of this place. And now Loki turns stones into food. And Loki says, as a jailer, they need to keep their prisoner fed. And you already know that pissed off Thor. Then Thor explodes with anger and he says that he's no one's prisoner. And after Loki sees that, they like, alright bro. Then takes the rune, flips it upside down, strikes the ground, then leaves. And that left Thor by himself, alone, with his rage. And Thor is so angry because he thinks of Tornos causing chaos and destruction while searching for Thor. And Thor gets so angry that his power destroys the land below. And for an unknown time, it happened over and over again. And Thor's rage was only growing because he was thinking about all the lives that could be lost. Was it his people from Asgard or the people from Earth? or some alien planet. But Thor don't care about all that. He just doesn't want them in harm's way or getting hurt by Tornos. So yeah, Thor being there, being trapped, not able to do anything because he's trapped there, he was very pissed off. Now Thor has calmed down and he sees what he has done to the landscape around him, but he knows it won't help him escape. Then Thor says to himself that in the past, this will cause Mjolnir to grow heavy in his hand, or he will hear his father Odin scold him. But now since Thor is the All-Father, he has to reprimand himself and decide his own punishment. And now Thor is about to do some hard labor. And Thor thinks about the time that Loki said, use what's in your helmet. And he takes the helmet off and sits it on a stone. And he strikes his helmet with lightning and heats it up. And he uses Mjolnir to mold his new hammer that's also an axe, Tormod. Now this instantly made me think of this panel right here when he had the two hammers in Megior, the belt of strength. And it clicks in my head like that gold hammer has to be Tormod. But now Thor uses the axe head to shave his beard. And he does that just in case if it grows back to know how long he's been where he's at. Then Loki comes out of nowhere thinking Thor finna delete himself with the axe. And Loki says it's not the worst fate for Thor unless you compare it to the fate that does await him if he fails to do something. But Thor cuts him off and tells him to stand where he's at, and he throws Mjolnir at him. Then as Mjolnir is about to hit Loki, they turn into butterflies. Then Loki reappears as Mjolnir goes past, and taking Loki's head off would be too easy for Thor. Then Loki says that he can't hack his way out of this Gordian knot. And the definition of Gordian knot means a difficult or intricate problem. Now Loki is saying that Thor has his get out of jail free card, and Thor is holding his get out of jail free card in his hand. And Loki tells Thor to cut the thread of fate and fall because the Valkyries will save him. And Thor responds by telling him that the ways of death are not a game, and there are powers that even a god must bow down to. And to my memory, that's the second time we've heard that statement. So there must be something going on with that. Then Mjolnir breaks the rune as it comes back to Thor. And since the rune is broken now, Thor thinks that the riddle that Loki gave him is gone. But that's not the case. Loki takes a look at the stick and says it's a good trick. Then they fix it and tells Thor that destruction is only one side of the coin and that no trick of yours will save you. Man, I saw that rune being fixed. I went from a smile to a straight face like, now Loki tells Thor that he has the tools within his hands, then leaves again. Now I wanted to make a little correction real quick to the rune and how to pronunciate it. I was saying it wrong. I had to look it up. It's called Rido instead of Rado, how I've been saying it. Now Thor is alone again. And Thor thinks back on the time where he told Loki that even as his enemy, he trusts them. And Thor says Loki shows malevolence of old. Each taunt has a clue. And the game that is currently being played is fair. And Rido is the key to the game. Now back when Thor calmed down from being so angry, he thought of what the answer could be to the game. And he was right. The tools are in his hands. And now he has to put the tools together. Then Thor grabs two things, a tree branch and some binding, to have Tormod be fully born. And according to the narrator, Tormod has three names: Tormod, the Keen Edge, Tormod, the Riddle Solver, and Tormod, the first of three. And the narrator finishes by asking, would you know more? And tells us more will be told. And I'm glad because that last one, what does that mean? Will he get 3 more hammers? And it made me think back to this panel right here again. Like, how much effect will Tormod have during this story? And I'm starting to think it's more than what we think right now. Now Thor takes Tormod and throws it, and it cuts down a tree in one strike. And Tormod comes back to Thor just like Mjolnir. And that's because Thor imbued it with his All-Father magic. Now Thor sits down to complete his true task. And he says a Gordian knot, a complex problem, has a simple answer. And he thinks about how Loki arrives behind his back, then leaves intentionally in front of Thor's face. And Loki shows the staff in the rune Rito, which is the means of their travel. And Thor thinks back to when Loki said, no trick of his will save him. So Thor creates his own rune staff to match Loki's. Then Loki comes out of nowhere and starts to go off on Thor. And Loki is like, you thought the stick was gonna save you? Nah. And Loki continues by telling Thor that he has failed. And to survive Loki's wrath, Loki says to Thor to give up the throne of Asgard. And if Thor does that, Loki, the god of evil, will let him live. But Thor's like, really, dude? You playing my enemy, but you really want me to succeed. And throughout the history of Thor and Loki, Thor knows one thing, that any Loki that says they want the throne of Asgard is a liar. And now we see Thor has solved the riddle, and he takes Rito, the rune of journeys, and goes home. Now Thor and Loki are back where they were at the end of episode 2. And since they have gone somewhere and came back, no time has passed. And Thor was in an all sleep, regaining his strength. But he wants to know, what was the point of the game? Then Loki tells Thor it wasn't a game. It was just a lesson that needed to be learned. And Loki tells Thor that he needed a weapon for what is coming. And the weapon he needed was Tormod. And now that he has it, he passed the test. And Thor wonders what would have happened if he failed. And Loki tells him that he will not be alive, and that Thor will be stuck on an alien planet in a forgotten time, and Tornos will destroy everything. Then Loki tells Thor, I may come as your enemy, but I'm the enemy you need. Loki ain't making things easy for Thor at all, but that's a good thing because he's preparing Thor for something major. And the lesson has been learned for Thor, and he knows that using the All-Father power won't defeat Tornos by itself, but using his Asgardian might will change the game. Now the solution to defeat Tornos is within reach, and Thor says they are gonna need allies, and those allies have to share necessary experience. Now Thor says that one of them will not like seeing Loki at her door, and if she is to join, Thor must talk to her by himself. And the person Thor is talking about is the goddess of thunder, Storm. Now that concludes episode 3 of Immortal Thor. Hit that like and subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. Stay tuned for more episodes of the Immortal Thor. God bless, I'm out.